I think now we are live. Let's wait for Borelang to continue. Dorcas, you can just be introducing the topic as we wait for moderator.
Sorry, Stano, you were saying?
I'm saying you can be just introducing the topic as we wait for moderator.
Because yeah. Okay. So, he's here. He's here.
Oh yeah, because I was from another podcast to this one, and I never even had time to. Okay, good. Then are we starting right away?
Yes, please. Today is no introductions. We just start. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Good evening. We are on Bible study, and today we are looking at the book of Job, and we have 4 topics that we chose, or 4 perspectives that we are going to look at this book of Job with. We'll be looking at the traditional Christian interpretation of this book. Then we'll discuss the nature of suffering and check whether it is just. Then biblical attitude towards questioning God and his response at the end, and overall assessment of God's character. Without a waste of time, then we'll start. The other thing, how do I see participants? Okay. Oh, beautiful. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. And then we can show by the show of hands if one wants to contribute. Let us start with the first point there of traditional Christian interpretation of the book of Job. Or maybe, are hands supposed to show on the screen? I haven't used Zoom for some time. I don't see any hands on it. Can you see any hands on your side?
No, but I can just give my comment.
Okay. Yes, I can see hands now.
Yeah.
Hi, Mureki. The stage is yours.
I thought Tano was going. Tano disappeared. I thought it was Tano going to talk.
No.
Yes,
continue.
Tano was starting. I think Bolelang interrupted him.
Okay, mine was just to say the Christian, how they view the book of Job, they view it as a basic for Christian, because it's where for people run or to run something from those suffering. So when you endure suffering, you become more stronger. Just the way the Job endured suffering and became stronger and also being rewarded by God many times of what he had. So we take suffering the Christians take suffering in a positive way because they help them to go to another glory.
Okay. In fact, I forgot. I wrote a list of questions under every topic, and yes, I was just switching off from the one that I'm in, the podcast I was in, to this one. The first question that I had there is, what do you think is the purpose of the book of Job according to mainstream Christian doctrine? Because I've got about 5 questions under that first topic. What do you think is the purpose of the book? Or Dorcas?
I think Morioki raised his hand before me.
But now I see that the sequence has changed. You're on the other side.
No, but he raised his hand.
Talk, Morioki.
Thanks, Bulalang. I think it's just showing no matter how hard things are, God is there. I think it makes you believe in God no matter what happens. If you suffer, it makes people not doubt God because life is so hard. So I think they're saying no matter how much you suffer, God is still there. So keep the faith, keep the belief. Thanks.
Okay. And Dorcas?
Okay. For me, I think the book of Job, to Christians, the lesson it's supposed to teach is one on loyalty to God, on faithfulness to God. That we should never waver whenever we go through adversity, because if we stay faithful to God, he will stay faithful to us. Job underwent a lot of trials and tribulations. First of all, he lost his property, and then he lost his family, and then his body was attacked. His flesh and bones, as the Bible says, was attacked, but God authorized Satan not to touch his soul. He can do any other thing, but not touch Job's soul. So his flesh suffered. He underwent a lot of suffering. Even his reputation was ruined. But he never left God. He never cursed God. He didn't follow the instructions given by his wife, curse God and die. He stuck by God, and eventually he was redeemed. Everything that he lost was restored. So I think the lesson there is that if you remain faithful to God, he will remain faithful to you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's also related to the second question that I had. The second question was, how do you respond to the claim that Job's story demonstrates unwavering faith despite suffering?
Pardon?
Oh, Pastor Stano?
Question?
It says, how do you respond to the claim that Job's story demonstrates unwavering faith despite suffering?
Yeah. I think to that, I have no idea for now, but I can just try to answer the previous question by saying,
because I think Dorcas has touched that one.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Then the next one is, do you think Satan's role in the opening chapter undermines or supports the traditional God is sovereign narrative?
What I can say from the previous question is about what we learn or what Christian learn about why the suffering from the book of Job is important is because it can give the Christian hope when they are undergoing the suffering. So they can be able to be patient with what they are passing through, hoping things will be better, or they are passing through those suffering for a good reason. God have a reason for those suffering.
Yeah. For the reason, the reason on the case of Job was not even a valid reason. It was a bet. Yeah. And what about the issue of God being sovereign over everything? And now we see Satan coming and challenging him. I think the third one, when I was putting it, it was in relation to that. Because we are told that there's nothing about God, above God. And all of a sudden, a creature comes and challenges God. So does it undermine God's sovereignty, or does it support it? The story of Job.
You asking me?
Yes, the audience.
Yeah, I'm saying about that. I don't see Satan challenging God because what God already knew, it normally happen. For example, God say, even if you touch his property, he will never leave me. And that is what we see, the final result. That means God was already knew the result. So Satan never challenged God about that, according to my understanding, according to that story.
Oh, yeah. And Dorcas?
I think Satan serves to show how trivial God is, how egotistic he is, and how unfaithful. You remember what I said before, that the moral of the story is that it's supposed to show you how when you are faithful to God, he will stay faithful to you. But actually, the devil serves to demonstrate that God is not faithful. You can be faithful to him and he will still allow suffering to happen to you. Even if at the end of the day, for Job particularly, he was restored, but in the story, he still suffered, even though he was a righteous person. But back to the point that I'm making, the devil's role in this story is to demonstrate how God can easily be pulled into a battle of egos. You see, he took a wager with the devil to allow him to attack his most faithful servant. You know, he caused all this suffering, or he allowed the devil to make Job suffer in order to win a wager. What a trivial God. He ain't loyal, man. So yeah, that's my interpretation of the devil's role. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And you even touched my next question, where I was asking, what does it say about the divine justice of God, allowing righteous men to suffer just to prove a point to Satan? There was Polo G. I saw a new person raising their hand.
Yeah, thank you. So the thing that I just wanted to add, I wanted to add on Dorcas' point on the role of the devil in Job. I think just like Dorcas said, the devil is there to massage God's ego and to put God and to put God on a bigger pedestal by the Christians, by the fact that the devil, by the fact that it comes to prove God's power more. Yeah, the devil is there.
Oh,
The
yeah.
devil is there to massage God's ego and to be put more like to encourage putting more pedestal, putting God more pedestal by the Christians.
Yeah. I remember somebody some time ago who was telling me that I should never ever separate God from Satan. They are the same character. His bad side and his good side. And in the Bible, sometimes when God speaks about his bad qualities, he claims it's Satan. Ndeve, I see a new hand there.
Yes, thanks, Bolelang. Hello, everyone. To me, in the book of Job, God and the devil are playing good cop, bad cop. And so, and I'm going to join that with Revelation. Oh no, from with the Genesis, where the devil, or if the snake was the devil, that is the only one that told the truth. So now I'm going to ask you all, when did we choose which one was the good cop and the bad cop? When did we choose God over the devil? Why? When you can clearly see, we picked, it's just so human to pick on the bad one, the bad boy, the group. But thank you very much. I think, I think we picked the bad cop to be the good boy. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because when you take us to Genesis, then we see that the one who was lying was not God, but was not the snake, but God. So from the beginning, God was the bad one, but managing to pretend to be the good one. Interesting point that that you raised. Then Miriki.
Okay, thanks, Blalang. Me, what I'd say, I think God was very unfair because God is all knowing. So God was rigging because God knows everything. So He knew Job would what would happen. God knows the end of everything. So it's unfair to Satan to compete with God because God is all knowing. You see, so God did rigging because God knows everything. So what's the point? And God knows the end. You can't defeat God. He's all knowing. Thanks.
Oh yeah. And here's another question that comes: if the devil is God's son, and does he know that God is all knowing? Because they've got a history already, this dad and the son.
Sorry, just repeat the question. I didn't get the question. Sorry.
I say that God is all knowing. Did Satan know that God is all knowing?
He's an angel. He's a powerful angel. Maybe he was the top angel. So maybe he knew. Who knows? It's a losing
because
battle.
he has said things said to people like Cain, where God said, I've seen in your heart what you are up to. So why people who know that God knows everything go and challenge God? So there's something that doesn't gel in the book itself. It's not written from a perspective of a God who knows everything, or Satan who knows that God knows everything. So it brings to question the inspiration of that book. Is it an inspired book, or is it a human perspective of a story? Ex-Pastor Stano?
For me, what I can simply say, Satan knew God was not aware. That even if from the introduction, we can see God asking Satan, have you seen Job, my faithful servant? That means God was not aware whether Satan have seen Job. So that is a clear proof to Satan. God is not have no idea.
Oh yeah. You see this character of God and what they say about him, the stories that we find in the Bible, doesn't agree with the picture that they are painting. That question, it's a powerful one. Have you seen my servant Job? And David? David forgot to remove the raise hand. Okay, let me go to the next question. Does the happy ending at the end of a story of Job invalidate the suffering he went through? Or is it a moral cop-out? What do you think? And David? Or Miriki?
Thanks, Blalang. I think in real life, they're not happy endings. In real life, you have to be aware they're not always happy endings. So that story, it's so man-made. Because in life, when stuff happens in life, you don't know the ending. It could be a good ending or a bad ending. So that story is just a made-up story to give it like a movie, happy ending, a good ending to a fairy tale. Thanks.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of a story in my culture of a person who lost a child, and the wife was crying, and the husband was reminding the wife that just recently we have lost a very huge pig, and we were consoled. We made peace with it. Even with a child, you can make peace. So yeah, so a loss is a loss. You cannot make a happy ending out of a loss. Dorcas?
Yes, that's exactly right. No human life, no new human life can replace lost lives. You can't say just because I killed 30 people here, as long as I was able to reproduce 30 more, then it's cancelled. It doesn't work like that when it comes to human life. Maybe property. If you lose property and you are able to get it back, that's fine. Or if you lose maybe a reputation and you're able to rebuild it, that's fine. But if you lose a human being, just because you can get others, you can back others, it cannot cancel out that loss. I think that's one of the most problematic components of the book of Job. It claims to be a book of restoration, but those were unique individuals in their own right. Some of them were adults already. They had lived full lives. So even if I get others, it really cannot vindicate the suffering that he underwent. And I can even backpedal on what I said with the other forms of suffering. So this type of suffering is unique. The one that involves the death of your young ones is unique in that it cannot be compensated. But even the others, you see, under the understanding of the contract that a believer has with their God, he's supposed to protect you from the evil in the world. So the moment he allows evil to happen to you, and he actually commissions it, he commissions that evil, and you undergo that suffering, the psychological damage that it does is immense, and it can't be undone. Even if things improve in the end, it can't be undone. He still suffered the loss of his cattle and sheep and his businesses, etc., his reputation. Those things were so painful, and it can't cancel it out because things improved in the end, especially given the fact that he's supposed to be an omnibenevolent God. So why would an omnibenevolent God allow such evil things to happen to his most loyal servant? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, you talked about property. I wonder whether it's because I'm a sentimental person or what. Even property, it has memories. It has memories. I know the insurance can put in new stuff. I had, when my old house burned on fire, then after insurance fixed it and put exactly the same type of kitchen, but there were things that are missing that I used to remember when I was in the kitchen working there, because I like cooking. And it never felt like the same kitchen any longer, even though I got another one. So yeah, property also, it cannot be replaced. You can get something similar to it, but it won't be exactly like the one that you had. Ndeve, are you still there? Or you forgot to bring down your hand? Okay, no, Ndeve is not there. Let us go to the next point, the nature of suffering, and asking whether it is just. The question that I have there is, if Job was blameless, what justification, if any, can there be for his suffering? Because when God asked a question about him, he said, blameless in his eyes. So if he was blameless like that, what justification was there for him suffering like the way that he suffered? Miroki?
Thanks. You know, it's so hard to answer that question because these are myth. These are made up story. So it's so difficult to answer that because somebody made it up. So
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. It's all made up. Thanks.
Yeah, you're actually telling us that it doesn't make sense. And ex-pastor Staro?
For me, I want just to quote the Job 2 verse 3. Job chapter 2 verse 3 say, then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shun evil. And he still maintains his integrity, though you insisted me against him. You entice me against him to ruin him without any reason. So that means that God harmed Job with no reason, without the cause. Other versions say without the cause. You caused me to harm him without the cause. So I don't think when God killed Job, yeah.
He is saying somebody causes him to do it.
Yeah, Satan caused God to harm Job for no reason.
Then it goes back to that issue of sovereignty. Does God really have sovereignty? Or
Yeah,
can
and the same
somebody makes him do something that he never planned?
and at the same time about the suffering. When, for example, maybe my child get ill and it maybe die, then I read that verse that God can cause my child to suffer or me to suffer without it, with no reason. So that will disappoint. So that thing, that verse alone disappointed Job, if we consider that verse.
Yeah. Dorcas?
Yes, you're asking whether the suffering that Job underwent was just, and the answer is a big fat no. What's the definition of justice? Justice is getting what you deserve. If somebody is a good person, then they need to be rewarded for their goodness. That's a just world. If somebody is evil, if they go around raping or murdering people, then they're punished for those actions. That's a just world. But if you are a good person and you are punished for your goodness, that is the definition of injustice. This actually demonstrates the nature of reality or our world and humans specifically, but even animals, even for animals, there are animals that are prey, they are food for other animals, and they're innocent. They didn't do anything to deserve being the meal for carnivores, but they just are. So even for humans, that's how it is. We live in an unjust world where good guys get away. I mean, bad guys get away with their bad actions while good people suffer. In fact, one of the many philosophical reasons for questioning Christianity or any of the omni faiths, the Judaic, Islam, or Christian faiths, is the idea of suffering for good people. Why do good people suffer? Why would a good God let good people suffer? Now, I want to bounce back a question to the audience and ask them, what do you think are the conditions under which a good person could still suffer? Do you think that good people should never experience any sort of suffering, regardless of the magnitude? Yeah. Do you think that their life should be smooth throughout? That's a question I have for people. But my bottom line in response to your question is that it was unjust. It was definitely unjust. A good guy got bad outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's God who allowed it. Yeah.
And also that question, it's similar to another one that I did write, where I say, can suffering ever be a valid test for faith? Because if he was blameless, and God agrees that he is blameless, so he never suffered because he has done something wrong. Can it be valid for testing faith, or is it an abusive act? Mireke?
No, thanks. Once again, what I'm saying, those are hard questions because now God made him suffer because he knew the end. God knew the end will be a good ending. So it's not that in the real world. God knew for sure I'll make him suffer, but in the end, it will be a good ending. So it's just out. In the real world, like I said, we'll never know what happens in the real world. But God knew in the end he'll make Job be okay. So those are hard questions because of our myth. We're dealing with a made-up story. Then to ask this question, in real life, I think suffering makes you stronger and makes you wiser in the real world. So if you don't go through suffering, you can become wise and strong. Thanks.
Mhm. And it tells us a lot about the person who wrote this story. I wonder whether the person who wrote the story is a good, is a thinker or what. Dorcas?
I think I'm answering now my question. Should there ever be instances where suffering should be allowed, should occur, not to be allowed because there's no sky daddy. We live on our own. But are there instances where suffering is welcome or it serves a good function? Yes, I think so. I think that life requires a little bit of friction. If everything was smooth, if everything was at your disposal, if you never worked towards anything at all, then you would be such a softie, for lack of a better word. You wouldn't be stoic, and you'd also be really bored. You could actually be at risk for depression. There was a study that was done among a couple of fish that were placed in a huge pond, a house-sized pond. And the fish had everything they wanted. The food was provided to them. They never had to work for it. But they looked lethargic. They looked unmotivated. It was just, oh. But then the owner introduced predator fish. The moment he introduced predator fish, those things came to life. They were fighting, they were hustling in order to stay alive, and they became more vibrant. What am I saying? I'm not saying that we need killers in order to be more vibrant in our lives. I'm saying that I think we need to work for our meals. There's a certain kind of suffering that feels very rewarding. Like when you go to the gym consistently, and then you are able to see results. You lose some kilos, or you deny yourself indulgent foods, high calorie foods. That can be quote unquote suffering, but in the end, it has a positive outcome. So I think to a small extent, friction is necessary in life in order to make you appreciate goodness. Beauty is only truly worthy or valuable because we are aware of ugliness. If everybody was beautiful, then we wouldn't value beauty. But because not everybody is beautiful, then you appreciate it more. So the presence of a little suffering would make us appreciate a good life, right? And in that regard, if I were to design the universe, if I were God, I would allow minimal suffering. For instance, that kind, the one of going to the gym, the one that doesn't cause immense psychological trauma, but just that kind, going to the gym, or you forgetting to wear your good shoes and getting blisters on your feet, minimal suffering to teach you a lesson or to make you appreciate goodness, because badness exists. I would allow minimal suffering, or I would also allow deserved suffering. So if somebody's bad, if somebody commits an infraction, they do harm, they steal, they kill, etc., then they deserve to suffer. So deserved suffering in Bible, tick, and also minimal suffering, tick, to just teach us the importance of being of the goodness of the opposite side. To appreciate beauty, ugliness must be present. To appreciate health, sickness must be present, but not the excessive one. Yeah. So that is my long take on this. And in fact, this discussion came up when we were talking about Friedrich Nietzsche, who was obsessed with suffering in his philosophical ideas. And some people felt that we should never have any suffering at all. I think we should have a little, and also we should have deserved suffering. Thank you.
And what made him to lose his mind at the end? Was it not his obsession with pain? I'm not sure. Or maybe it's because he was sidelined. I don't know. Then, who should be ugly so that we should see that other people are beautiful? That's another question. But I've passed that one, Dorcas. I'm asking another one, removing it from the God, and we are bringing it into our everyday life. Say, would a human parent who treated his child the way that God treated Job be considered loving or just? Let's remove it from God now and say it's parents, and the neighbor comes and says, your son, nah, I think your son is useless. Or the parent says, my son is the best son, you know, he listens to me just well. And the neighbor says, no, your son, nah, it's not good. Do this and this and this too. Would it make sense if it was parents talking about a child and then another parent allowing their child to suffer just to prove to the neighbor? Muruki?
Once again, I don't think somebody normal can do that in the real world. I don't think someone can go to the extreme of making your child suffer just to prove a point. I doubt it. Then also, just to talk as beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So beauty, ugliness is very sensitive. Thanks.
Oh yeah, and Muruki, that is why I drink beer, because when I've got it, the beer holder sees beauty only. Pastor Stado, ex-Pastor Stado.
Yeah, what I can say is just like taking my child, putting him or her in a stupid room, dark room, rock it for a whole week, just giving him or her little food so that he or she may learn hardship in life so that he may be able to pursue in life in the future after understanding how life is futile. So I don't think that is a good lesson to teach her or him. That is just very unfair. Yeah, so that kind of the suffering is totally evil.
Oh yeah. Then does the story normalize the idea that innocent suffering is acceptable if it says it serves a higher purpose?
No, it's not.
Because already I heard Dorcas talk about innocent suffering, but also giving it a dose rather than for it to cause a blister on the foot, or just being chased around by a dog that you can outpace. It sounded like something like that. So is there justification for that little amount of suffering to serve a better purpose?
What I
Because
can
I think
say, yeah, what I can say, to suffer does not make you to be able to live well, because even those who don't suffer, or who don't, those who don't undergo suffering, they also live well. And those who suffer, they also do well, and sometimes they do worse. So suffering is not a thing that can help us to make it in life or to live well. So I don't think even the little suffering can save us. For me, I oppose that, because even those the cool kid, they can also live well without causing any disaster, without making any mess. And the person who have make mess or who suffer can also be able to live well or continue to suffer or continue to make many mess. So suffering, that's, for me, I don't think they can save somebody.
There's a movie, I'm struggling to remember the name of the movie, but it was during the robotic age, and people were not working now. They were sitting in little pots, and food were coming to them, and they were fed because all they do is eat and they are not working. Who remembers that movie? Can it talk to the effect of not suffering and just having only good things coming your direction? I never saw who raised the hand before. Muruki and Dorcas, who raised the hand before?
I think it's Dorcas. Let Dorcas go.
Dorcas?
Yes, even though I never mind Morioki going before me because he's a man of few words. So remind me, the movie you're talking about, what was happening?
People were just eating and not working, and because there were robots doing the work. And as a result, they lost the ability to move. Their legs became short and their body was fat. So they would spend the whole life sitting in something like a chair that moves them around.
Right.
What was the name of that movie?
I don't think I've watched it actually. I don't think I
Yeah,
have.
it was one of the futuristic movies.
I see. It was almost apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic. Yeah, let me pull a plug for the channel that I just appeared on, Skeptic Haven. Please, guys, check out that video and that we have just posted. We're talking about prophetic apocalypse, and cults that adhere to that belief. So it was a very, very interesting discussion. Please check out that channel. But to respond to this question, does the story of the book of Job promote the idea of innocent suffering? Yes, it does. As we established. No, sorry. Which question am I answering? We are answering the one on a child. Which question are we answering?
Oh, no, we're asking where we say suffering, does it normalize? Is it normalized if it's serving a higher purpose? But already you have raised that point yourself before I reached that point.
Okay.
When you talked about the gym, when you talked about the blisters, but I wonder whether we have discussed everything about normalizing innocent suffering because of a higher purpose.
So I have to say this, I have to bring out another angle to my argument. While I acknowledged the idea that suffering can play a higher purpose if it is moderated and if it is deserved, I do not belong to the school of thought where I pedestalize, because that's something I've seen which is endemic in Christian circles. And some of the most prominent religious figures, people like Mother Teresa, were known for pedestalizing suffering, for making suffering seem like a higher goal. Unfortunately, excessive suffering often serves no end. There are people who get, there are babies who get cancer, or there are people who get diseases that make their lives absolutely miserable. They are dependent on the healthcare system. I remember watching one of our biggest social media influencers in Kenya. He's called Eric Omondi on Instagram. He was showing the story of a certain woman who has a boy, who has two boys. She's a single mom, and she developed many complications. I don't know, kidney problems. I don't know, what, heart complications. She had many issues with her organs and was bedridden. But because she didn't have money and our healthcare system is dysfunctional, thank you, President Ruto, she couldn't afford to get professional help. So she had to use the services of her son. Her son was her designated nurse. The boy used to change her medication. She was on, what is that thing called? I forget, that thing that is connected where they put in the medicine. So the boy would change it. The boy, in fact, they showed us, Eric Omondi showed us the arsenal of medication that is keeping her alive. And she's even on oxygen. Of course, she's bedridden. She can't move at all. The boy changes his mother's diapers. Can you believe it? He changes, he suffers the indignity of changing his mother's diapers. So you see, somebody who is undergoing that kind of suffering, there's nothing noble about it. We mustn't try and whitewash it and say, oh, it's serving a higher purpose or whatever. That woman is suffering, and she might even die just like that. And that boy might get into a vicious cycle of suffering, because he might lose that mother at a young age. Then he might stop school because he can no longer afford it. Then he might become a criminal. Then he might become in prison. And the suffering is just endemic. There's no end. Yeah. So I have to bring out this aspect as well of innocent suffering, that I think not all suffering serves a higher purpose. Most suffering actually doesn't. It's just terrible. It's just a sign that there's no person who is overseeing the universe. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Then the other question that comes to this suffering for an innocent person. Here's a scenario. God takes this challenge, this wager, and they challenge Job. And Job, in the process, then curses God. Then the question is, what happens if he fails the test? He was a good, blameless person. You test the person, then because the person is in pain, then they curse you. Would that prove Job to be a bad person? And David?
Yeah. Thanks, Polelang. Sorry, I kept my hand up the last time I was at the door.
Yeah, your hand must be tired now.
I lowered it. Yeah, that job is deserved. This suffering. I also want to look at suffering from another angle, from a totally purposeless and directed, just circumstantial. Let us say a farmer, his crops fail. That farmer can't feed his family, can't address his family, can't send his children to school, but it is the weather. He's suffering, all right. But it wasn't sent, it was not God and the devil playing soccer in his backyard. It is just circumstances happening. So I want us to look at that suffering from that point of view and ask ourselves, are we suffering, or we are just in this, is it a matrix? We are just in this thing where when I have drought in my area, Bolelang has a drought because we are in the same area. And that's why I'm saying, let us not look at this suffering as if the suffering in the job was right, or was it ever, or that fable was ever factual. But in our real life, suffering is, if it is suffering, we all go through. Everybody is going to get a dose of this. So I want us to look at it as, it's not something that has been placed on my head or on your head. It is mindless. It is purposeless. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't do anything. Because I could become a better person without suffering. I can also be a kind person without suffering. I don't need suffering so that I can be kind. So yeah, so I just wanted to put that little angle there, so that when we look at suffering, we don't take it personally. We just don't take it personally. The rain didn't come, not because God hates you or anything, it's the weather. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you. And yeah, suffering also, my culture, Musutu, my people love suffering. They love suffering. The government found a new way where we can do circumcision easier and quicker without pain. They said, no. Being part of being a man, people should feel the pain. And they did not use that equipment. We used the spear that we have been using from a long time ago. And you see, people can fall in love with this suffering. Or then back to the question that I asked, what if Job failed the test? Would God be justified now to say, no, he's a bad person now? Because he was blameless, he was doing everything fine, and now you made him feel the pain. You drove him to sit out in the dust outside the city. And what if he just said, nah, this is nonsense. I'm tired of life. Ex-Pastor Stado?
Let's first hear from Murioki.
Or was Muroki before? Yes, Muroki?
Yeah. So, Bulelang, I think the person who wrote the job already in his mind knew, like I said, the ending. So he made sure that the job will accept everything, because the ending will be a happy ending. So he knew what he was doing. Then also just on David, one David said, she brought a good point that suffering is not personal. Like even that story of Dorcas, that mother who's suffering, still it's not personal. It's just life. It's not. It's if you know it's not personal, you free your mind. Then people like Nelson Mandela, Wangari Maathai, Dedan Kimathi, that suffering does a lot for humanity. Like Mandela suffered he was in jail for 27 years. And that suffering is worthwhile. Even Wangari Maathai, she got beat up, she really suffered, but it was it was good suffering. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And what we're actually doing here, we are looking at the Bible as literature work, just like we'd look at Romeo and Juliet, the work of Shakespeare, and start to dissect it that way. And yeah, we are under no obligation of even looking at this story seriously. We can change the setting and ask ourselves, what if? Okay, ex-Pastor Stano.
Yeah, I think I wanted to say in just the way Murioki have said about the heading. God already knew Job will pass the test. So, and you don't expect a hero. It's in a movie. Is it called the antagonist or protagonist to die? You expect him to finish the race. The same case, Job could not lose. But if we can just say, what if he lose or he failed the test? That will prove God a liar or will prove God wrong, because God is the one who told Satan he is upright and he will persevere those tests. So that will prove God is a liar or is not all knowing. And also for Job, I think Job will not be rewarded by God. God will not reward Job because he failed the test. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which would be unjust because he's the one who started the test, and there was nothing that justified him starting the test. Oh, yeah. Then God's one question.
I think I can also add on that the way we do exam. When we fail the exam, we are not rewarded, even though we are innocent. We struggle very hard. We struggle doing our study, but then during the test, when we fail, we are not rewarded, and no company will hire us. I think we can also apply the same in that story of Job. If we fail the
now
test.
We went to school ourselves because we wanted to know something and we don't know it. Job never signed up to go through pain. He never knew what was happening.
Yeah, I think there is different. Although sometimes we
very,
suffer.
very innocent in this scenario.
Sometimes we suffer because we commit our time, our energy in study, even though there is no harm in our property. Although little property because of the school fee.
Oh, yeah. Dorcas?
So I wanted to say two things. One is in relation to a comment you made, Bolelang, of how sometimes people can love suffering. You said that your people from your ethnic community, they tend to love suffering. I also mentioned how Christians tend to put suffering on a pedestal, as seen through Mother Teresa. And I think there are some privileges in certain societies. There are some privileges for people who suffer, especially the physical kind. If you have disabilities, you can be liable for disability allowances. And there are also other privileges you might get. Like here in Kenya, legislators are supposed to represent the entire population. And so there are slots for persons with disabilities, and there are also slots for women and youth. So, okay, youth not necessarily, but for women, we have a particular seat, the women representative seat, which is designated for the group. So I remember there's a legislator, you guys know him, I'm forgetting his name, but he usually walks with crutches. And I think he comes from the Rift Valley. Maybe he's Maasai or Samburu or Turkana somewhere. You guys know him. I'm forgetting the name of this legislator, but he was selected because he has a disability. And he appeared on a certain radio show where he said that he does not want ever to lose his disability. He said if there was a time he went to, I think that Prophet War, he went to Prophet War's or some other pastor's sermon, and the pastor wanted to heal him, to give him back his feet or his legs and his walking ability, and he stopped it. He left that happy with his quote unquote suffering. He loves the privileges that he gets as a legislator. He loves the salary. He loves everything that comes with it, and he would lose it all if he was normal again. So it's that aspect as well.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Songkok. Yes, there's somebody who's written the name there. Yes, that's Songkok. In fact, he's been saying some other controversial things. There was a time he was advertising for some Airbnb, and he was talking about how men can take women, can spend money on women and lock them up in that facility of his that he owns. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, Songkok, that was the guy. He loves his suffering. So yes, there can be people who are that twisted psychologically, but as we said, they're not all right. A normal person shouldn't be okay with their suffering. They should want to be fully functional. And then we also have masochists. We also have masochists who get off from suffering, from undergoing pain and all that. And the sadists who induce it. So I wanted to mention that one point. And then the other thing I wanted to respond to is your question, but I don't know if I truly understood it. Kindly rephrase or repeat.
It's the past one. Is it where I said, if suffering is a test, what happens to those who fail? Have we passed that one?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
that
no, that
one.
was the last one I asked. If suffering is a test, what happens to those who fail it? Are they less worthy or just human?
Okay. So according to if suffering is a test and you fail it, it means that you are less than, you are inferior, you are immoral, and you deserved that suffering. That's the worldview that they hold. But that worldview is not accurate because, as we have established, this universe does not care about you, and many people get undeserved suffering. You deserve in this world. So their thinking is erroneous. But if we look at it as skeptics, if suffering is a test and you fail it, then what that shows is the one that instigated the test is flawed. To me, it is a commentary on the person who is making the test
Yeah.
in the first place. I look at it the same way you would look at a relationship. You've heard of these people who say they're testing their girlfriend to see if the girlfriend is wife material. So he'll come home pretending. He'll come home pretending he's drunk to see how the girlfriend will behave, and then if she passes the test, then he will marry her. He'll know this is truly wife material. To me, that's so disgusting that you need to resort to such petty games in order to gain the trust or to assess the trust of your partner. You should know them if you're really in a relationship with them. So I think people who subscribe to tests, who perform tests on others, are really flawed. That's the lesson I would learn from it. It's not the person who's failed the test that is the problem. It's the person who carries out the test.
You know, I think if Job failed the test, then God will say it's a prank. You know, like we see people do with videos now and pranking people. Because really it looks like a prank, this thing. It's not serious. We have done nothing, man. And somebody comes and starts a test on something that we know nothing about. But here's another thing, that when we go to point number 3, attitude of God towards questioning. Why does God never explain himself to Job? Because he did all this nonsense. He was supposed to explain himself. But no, he doesn't. So this becomes a one-sided affair. Can we elaborate on that? When you read the book of Job, what do you see about God's personality when it comes to being answerable about the things that he does to people? Miraki?
I think here he's showing us that he's untouchable. You can't touch me, I'm untouchable. Like, don't mess with me. I can do what I want. Don't mess with me. That's what I think. You can't touch him.
Yeah. You remember that question that he asked, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? I mean, you are the one who caused the problem now. Now you are coming and boasting about your strength, how long you have been around. I don't know. I see it as a flawed character. I never knew where to put this. Should it go to question 4, point number 4, or what? But here, I noticed that God, when he's questioned, he doesn't respond like a mature person. Dorcas?
Aha. Yes, I'm in agreement. I think God discourages questioning, and Christianity in general also discourages questioning, or it only encourages it within certain parameters. You can only question if your conclusion will draw you back to God. But if you question and go away from God, then they don't tolerate it.
Yeah.
There are many verses in the book of Job, especially towards the end, where God is responding to Job's questions because he deserves answers. God, I've been faithful to you. Why have you let this evil befall me? He deserves an answer. Yeah, it's like the child whose parent abandons them. They've been starving for the past 2 weeks. They know it is their father's duty to take care of them. So they ask the father, Dad, why didn't you feed me over the past 2 weeks? What's going on? And instead of the dad giving him a rational explanation, the dad is like, who are you to question me? Huh? Who are you? In fact, a good chunk of the book of Job is God showing Job why he is so insignificant and does not deserve answers. The one you mentioned, Bolelang, is very common, where God asks Job, were you there when I laid the foundations of the earth? Were you there when I restricted the sea from entering land? Hmm?
That one doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the chapter 38 says, chapter 38, verse 22. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? What is the way to the place where the light is distributed, or where the east wind is scattered upon the earth? He goes on to mention all the creations, the rain, the drops of the dew, the womb,
And
from
trying to be
where
poetic at it also as he speaks it.
he did what? Sorry?
I say he was trying to be a poet also.
Yeah.
When you see the way that he plays around with words,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
He
he
was,
thought he was a rap or something, I suspect.
it was very heavy. It was very heavy with metaphors. Do you know when the mountain goats bring forth? Do you observe the calving of the eyes? Can you number the months that they fulfill? And do you know the time when they bring forth? Yeah. So all of this was just a bid for God to blow his trumpet to show him how mighty he is and how insignificant Job is. So, in other words, he wanted to show him that you cannot question such a great God. Like, I know the storehouses of the snow and the hail. Gosh, I'm the one that laid the foundations of the earth. I'm the one that has access to the gates of Hades. So you literally, you cannot dare question me. I'm too big. I'm too great to question. And unfortunately, this is evident in many Christian people's lives, where when you ask them tough questions, we as skeptics, when engage with conversations with them and we ask them a tough question, or a question that paints God in a negative light, they'll tell you, you don't question God.
Yeah.
He's too powerful. He's too powerful for you to understand. But does might make right? That is the $1 million question. Thank you.
Remember, you are dust. You are getting too big for your boots. The part that I don't remember, the friends on God's questioning. Oh, I don't remember clearly about friends. I never even reached that part. Does the relating by friends really show us anything about character of God's when it comes to questioning? My memory was failing when I came to that area. Who still has
Which
The
friends?
three
Sorry.
friends, the three
Oh.
friends who came to Job. I don't remember the conversation properly. So on that side, I must say, I struggle to remember and to incorporate it into the questions here. But is there anything, if there's anybody who read the part of the friends talking to Job, which reveals God's character? But if we don't, because it's a long part also, I never managed to reach that section. Let's pass and ask, the story itself, does it encourage or discourage people from questioning authority, divine or otherwise? Muruki?
For me, I'll say it makes some people more religious, because they'll be asked, if Job can suffer so much, who are you? He went through all this. Who are you compared to Job? So just keep believing in God. It can keep you more into the belief, because Job suffered so much, and you, maybe it's something less than Job. So don't complain. If Job survived, you can too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ex-pastor, stand up.
Yeah, I think I think that is story all of that excuse. It give people fear of questioning the authority. For example, you are told never question God. He owns you, he created you, he can do whatever he wants with you. So never question him, just accept whatever comes to you. The same case in our leadership or in our real life. If the president or when you have a leader who is a dictator, you fear to question. You just accept whatever he dictates. The rules that he said, you just accept without questioning, because you fear when you question, you might be kidnapped or be killed or undergo some suffering. So that creates some fear when somebody who is bringing suffering to you is also giving you some threat. Either it's imaginary threat or a real threat. So you definitely fear to question. So that is why the citizen can fear to question the government leadership, or religious fear to question the imaginary God, because they know that the person is above them. The person that is bringing suffering is above them, so can increase suffering, and if it's not bringing suffering, he can cause suffering. So they just fear that.
Oh, yes. Dorcas?
Okay. I wanted to comment on the previous comment you made about the friends, and then
Oh, yes.
then I'll respond to this question. So the friends of Job, they were actually accusing Job of being wicked. They
Oh, yes.
thought that the reason why he's suffering is because he did some bad things. So again, they ascribed to that worldview where we live in a just world. If a person is suffering, it is deserved according to them. They don't leave any room for undeserved or innocent suffering. For instance, in chapter 35, it says, and Elihu said, do you think this to be just? Do you say it is my right before God that you ask, what advantage have I? How am I better off than if I had sinned? I will answer you and your friends with you. Look at the heavens and see, and behold the clouds which are higher than me. If you have sinned, what do you accomplish against him? And if your transgressions are multiplied, what do you do to him? If you are righteous, What do you give to him, or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness concerns a man like yourself, and your righteousness a son of man. Because of the multitude of oppressions, people cry out, they call for help because of the arm of the mighty. But none says, where is God my maker, who gives songs in the night? So, and now because his anger does not punish, and he does not greatly heed transgression. So Elihu brought out the aspect of sinning. And 36, let me just read 2 more verses. 36 says, and Elihu continued and said, bear with me a little, and I will show you, for I have yet something to say on God's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar and describe righteousness to my maker. For truly my words are not false. Behold, God is mighty and does not despise any. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives the afflicted their right. Yeah. He does not withdraw his eyes from the righteous, but with kings upon the throne, he sets them up forever, and they are exalted. So according to Elihu, we are never betrayed by God if we are righteous, but if we are wicked, then God will despise you. And the same was the case with the others. In fact, there was one of them that accused Job of snatching clothes from the naked, from not feeding widows, and from acquiring his wealth in an uncanny manner because of his suffering. He understood it to mean that Job was the one on the wrong. It can't be God, it has to be you. So they were victim blaming Job. That was, that was the perspective. And the role they play there is to show that we live in a just world, according to them, that we live in a just world, and anyone who is suffering is deserved, but it was wrong.
Thanks for the reminder.
Oh.
And one of them was better than the others, eh?
Yes.
Who was that one? I think there's another one that was more encouraging.
Can't find him. It's okay.
But yeah, it's things that we can check for further study. One of the words were better, and the other two were more sharp and damaging.
Those are those are the kinds of friends you don't need when
yeah.
Victim blaming. Okay, so this second question, remind me again what it was about.
Oh, sorry, your volume went down.
I'm saying the second question, the last question, what was it about?
How do I put this one? It's about fear and respect. Was God soliciting fear or respect from Job? Because I don't think fear and respect come from the same space. But when we look at the character of God here, was it somebody deserving fear or somebody deserving respect?
Definitely fear. I think anybody who leads with strength, with might, oh, look at me. I'm the one that set the earth on its foundations. I'm the one that knows how the mountain goat springs from hill to hill. I'm the one that understands this and this. I'm the one that has the storehouses for the snow and hail. So anybody who chest thumps that way and who tries to peddle their strengths, their might, is trying to induce fear. They're trying to shrink you so that they can be bigger. And that's a low level of communicating, if I can put it that way. I think of communicating and of leading. It is better for you to be respected than to be feared, because respect is earned. Respect is not just is not given for survival, because we fear people in order to survive. I'm going to bow down to somebody's whims because I want to survive. I'm not doing it because the person deserves it. But the one who is respected is somebody who has demonstrated that they earned it. Someone like who is a leader? Guy, hey, we have such a shortage of good leaders. Who is a leader that is respected? Respect.
Yeah, your presentation always looks at these bad leaders. So you see it's affecting you. You must check both the good and the bad.
I swear. Because on my TikTok, by then I'm only just concentrating on the blunders. The blunders, I'm struggling to find a respected leader in the world today. Gosh. Hey. That is my homework, guys.
Oh yeah.
That is because somebody like Ibrahim Traore, I think Ibrahim Traore is respected, even though there was an element of fear because he came into power via a military coup. So he wasn't entirely democratic, but nowadays he's respected because of all of the developments that he has brought in his country. But even in history, which leaders were respected?
Gandhi. Lucas, how about Gandhi? Gandhi?
No, Gandhi doesn't like brown people.
Yeah, Gandhi was racist. Gandhi, in fact, even the obvious leaders, even Nelson Mandela has his skeletons. Yeah, he has his skeletons. Nelson Mandela was actually picked to be the first black president of South Africa, instead of the other contenders who were free, because they thought that he was a pacifist and that he wouldn't focus on justice. Because as we know, in South Africa, they had the apartheid regime, which was immensely unjust. And all the resources lied in the hands of white people. So if you are a newly elected black president, for you to make your society just, you have to right the wrongs of apartheid. You must do something to reverse those policies. And Nelson Mandela didn't. He was just preaching civism. And this is the reason why.
He was groomed. They removed him from the prison to put him in a prison, in a house, and in that house they used to visit him. So yeah,
they struck a deal. In fact, it was a condition of his release. They were like, if we release you, are you going to come for us? Because we've committed many evils under the apartheid government, and we don't want you to come for us. So are you going to promise that? He said yes. So he's not as innocent as we might imagine. That's why I don't even want to mention him. So guys, I have given myself homework. I'm going to look for leaders contemporary leaders that we respect. But thank you.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, even when we look at other instances in the Bible, we find that God appeals to fear more than respect. And that's a common thread in the Bible about him. Then this thing of a wager. What sort of a God would play a game on the life of a person like that? What does it reveal about how God thinks? Because we are on the last point where we are assessing God's character. Miriki?
Just a comment. You see, when the devil rebelled in heaven, God threw him out. God didn't give him a chance. And he threw the devil. He was cast out of. He was an angel who rebelled. Then God cast him out of heaven. So he has no second chance. he gave no. He just threw him out of heaven with no second chance. Yes.
Yeah. But if you had to ask me, I think the devil has been given infinite chances, because every time people do bad things because of the devil doesn't suffer, the people suffer. So that's an interesting point also in the Bible, where we don't see the devil getting any punishment. Even the punishment that was given to a snake, it was not given to him. It was given to something that he used.
But I meant in heaven, when God threw him out of heaven, he was a high ranking angel. Then God threw him out.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it takes us to another point. Or before we go to that one, yeah, the next question. Before we get to that one, ex-Pastor Stadio, you had something for us?
No, you just ask about wager, about the bet. So,
yeah.
although sometimes I get confused because there is interchange from the Satan to the devil. For the book of Job, we use the word Satan, and in that case, we can see Satan as the best friend of God, where he normally visit God, have some chat or some conversation, and he does like those bet. So for me, I can say God is a monster because it's only a monster that can do those kind of the evil things. You are, or just a evil dictator that he can be able even to bet with the life of people. For example, maybe a king is very brutal or very evil, so he can also do some betting by maybe telling the servant or the slave to fight to kill each other, so that whoever will win, as they place the bet with another friend, whoever will win get the amount they have placed as a bet. So I can see this is kind of that portray how God is evil and how God is, even I don't know what I can describe, because he don't care about losing the lives of others.
Does God need validation?
Yeah.
In this case, he seems to be looking for validation. I wonder, what do others see? There's an element that shows God as somebody needing validation. Because why would you just ask Satan just there visiting, and now you are telling him about how good you are, how people love you, and you do tests about it. That looks like somebody who is insecure. He's got a secure character.
Or maybe it's like a politician fighting in the ground while they are still fed, eating together.
Oh yeah, it happens a lot in South Africa. When you look them in parliament, they look like enemies, but when you look at them in the parties, yeah, these people are friends. So in God's case with Satan, it might happen that these are friends. And that is why Satan is never killed in the Bible. Only people that listen to him suffer. And that is why he's even given a very hot portfolio, working in a very hot place and punishing people in hell. That's a very hot portfolio, that one. No other angel got a hotter portfolio than that one. Never.
About hot portfolio now, I'm talking from a very hot place. The thing with the devil and God bragging about his servant Job, good servant, and then you say, yeah, take my servant, my good servant, a good example of the people that follow me and do whatever you want with him. But you see, the funny thing is, the devil also knew who were his good servants, but he never came out bragging to God that, well, you've got Job, but me, I have Peter. Peter does ABC, but the devil did not do that. You see, this is where I insist that we picked the wrong side, because for the devil not to come out and brag, because there are, obviously, if there was a good servant of God, there were some who are not very good servants of God, but they belonged to the other side. But the devil is not letting out, he's not giving his cards. It's only God that is just giving, or he's tipping his hand. The devil is not going to mention his good servants, because he knows that if he mentions his good servant, guess what God is going to do? God will want to touch them. But the devil is not going to give it. Yes, but the devil did not give. So to me, that is a sign of insecurity over somebody that is bragging, who is just too eager to show off to a person that is superior. I did use because we only show off to people we are thinking they have got they are a little bit better. They have something on us. So otherwise, God would not have been bragging about the good, because we knew that people all the time, they have commandments, because we have commandments because we don't follow God. And all the commandments are about the one God, but the first commandment does mention that there are other gods. So therefore, we can assume that Satan in this, the devil talking to God, he had his people, and he didn't give them to suffering. Thank you. I think I should be on. I'm on the other side family because I'm not going to be given up to suffer. Thank you.
People, please put God in your mind. He's dying inside for attention. We can see that God is dying for attention, and that is why he's like this. And see the way he dealt with his people. It's always after attention, insecurities. Mirek, oh yes, Mirek.
Yeah, just a comment. When I read Job, I didn't see how he appeared. Was he in snake form? Was he with horns? How did the devil appear to God? Was he in the snake form or with the horns and the fork? So I wonder how he appeared to God when they're having the conversation. They didn't say how the form he took or the image he took when he appeared before God. I wonder how he appeared.
Yeah. The only books that talk about the form, it's Genesis and Revelation. And one of the Gospels where it calls them the original serpent. Those are the only three books that portray the devil as a dragon or snake or something. The picture of horns and goat hooves and whatever, I think those are just stories. I've never seen them in the Bible. I don't remember seeing anything. Yeah. So yeah, I remember that I appeal for God that when you are sitting and you think about people that need attention, that needs somebody to come and just calm them. Remember, God is there suffering from insecurities. Ex-Pastor Stado.
Yeah, what I can say for Murioki is that the Bible does not mention the form of the devil was having the same case, but we can also ask the same question: the form of God, how was God look like? Because in the Bible only they say he have the hands, he have the eye, he have the ears. So we end up thinking God is like us. Is a big human being, according to the description given in the Bible. So for Satan, we don't know, but if even the angel are given description like a human beings, and the devil was also part of the angels, it means even the devil is like us, a big human being who is a devil. Yeah. So what I wanted to say is about we are talking about the suffering of the Job, but what I noticed, the devil was given permission to destroy Job. But when I read those chapter 1 and chapter 2, I don't see devil anywhere. I only see God destroying Job, killing the Job children, killing the Job servants, killing the animals, destroying everything. So I don't see devil participating anywhere. And at the end, the same chapter 2, God said, you devil, you Satan, you cause me to harm Job for no reason. So I don't see devil doing any harm to Job. It's only the God who is doing that, because we also it mentioned the fire came from heaven and it consumed all the servant and animal and those kind of the ones that are being used in those chapters. So I think we have about 10 minutes to finalize.
Yeah, so the devil made me do it. God also, the God character suffers from that. So God is helpless because they can be influenced to do things. Oh yeah, then the last thing, does restoring Job's fortunes and giving him the new family, does it paint God in a light, in the positive light or not? We are looking at his character. Does it make him a good person? Oh, my servant lost things. Let me make things right with him. In fact, let me even wrap it with another one. Does the character of God consistent with the idea of loving, just, and all-knowing deity? Mireke?
I think he's showing the devil that he won, that I'm the winner. You see, I'll make Job suffer and I'll still give it back to him. So I've won. He won the competition. Yeah.
So it was about him, not about Job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And consistency with the qualities that are claimed that God has, a loving God, God of justice, all-knowing God. The book of Job, what do they show on those characters, the characteristics? Bill?
Okay, so in my opinion, I think the book of Job does that. It shows God's love among your all knowing. Because I think when the book was being written, they were writing it based on the beliefs of the time. So they according to them, according to the people who are writing it, they're thinking, okay, this character is a very good person. He took, like, he was testing Job and he's all powerful, so it's good for him to do that. It's okay for him to do that. And after all, he replaced the kids. So that at the time they will see kids as property. Now, in the modern context, God, the character is evil. But I think, okay, if we think of God as a character, then we should judge it based on the culture that wrote that character. But if you think of it as an actual God, then that's when you can judge him from based on our current values. And I think based on the values of the time, where children were seen as property, wives were seen as property, and maybe and God was seen as like this powerful, this character that is not questioned, then the attributes will fit that. I'm done.
Oh, yeah. So it's limited by the environment that it was created within. Then, as we wrap up, let's go to Dorcas. Then after X, Pastor Stano.
I just raised my hand, even though I don't know what we were discussing. I got accidentally logged out. What's the question?
We are discussing about the consistency of God character as a loving God, just a God with justice, and all-knowing God. When we look at this book of Job, is it consistent with those characteristics?
Okay. No. The book of Job is one of the... Sorry, someone was talking? Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so the book of Job is one of those books that we as skeptics can use to debunk the Christian faith. They believe in an omni God, an all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful God. However, if he was an all-knowing God, then he wouldn't need to test Job. It would have been obvious to him that Job would be faithful. A test is only necessary when there's no other method of acquiring knowledge, of finding information. That's why you test someone. That's somebody who's not very knowledgeable, so he cannot be defined as an all-knowing God. Have you tried Job? That question that he asked the enemy or the devil in this story, it is an indication that he's not all-knowing. He's also not all-loving, because as we have established, an all-loving God would behave like a loving father. You would do your very best to avoid undeserved suffering, or to allow your child to face undeserved suffering. So in this case, he did allow the most faithful servant to undergo suffering. He's not loving. All-powerful. He's also not all-powerful if he can read exchanges with the devil, and if he can't answer somebody in a straight way. When Job questioned him, he didn't even answer the question. He was floating his capabilities and his knowledge of the universe, how infinite it is, etc. This is somebody with an ego the size of a mountain. Anybody who demands reverence or worship does not deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. As we wrap, we give ex-Pastor Stano the chance to answer, and also I'm handing back to him.
Thank you for moderating, and it was very nice. So I will just say, if I intentionally destroy your car, then when I observe and notice you are still calm, I buy or I give you a bigger car or many cars, or intentionally kill your cow. After that, I gave you 10 cows. Will that be okay? No. Good outcome, yes, there is a good outcome, but a good outcome does not justify bad initial action, especially when the action involves harm or destruction. So if I destroy your car, that because I give you a bigger car or many cars, that does not justify the bad one. It is still a bad. So God doing evil to Job is still a bad. It's still a evil, no matter what the outcome. So even the suffering, when I undergo suffering and then I get a bigger gain after that, the suffering still remain as a suffering, still remain as evil. So the outcome does not justify the first evil things. That is what I can say. Dorcas, you can end the meeting, or you can just say something.
Yes, thank you so much, Bolelang, for taking us through that session. I really, really, really appreciated it, given the fact that we just had another podcast. We just recorded another session with Bolelang's group. So he's been such a good sport on our end. It just so happened that we needed each other at the same week that Prophet Owod decided to make his doomsday prediction on the same week that I had asked Bolelang to moderate our topic. So they fell on both. And I know people think that attending Zoom meetings is not exhausting. It is. Zoom fatigue is a real thing. It's a real phenomenon, psychologically speaking. So we truly appreciate the sacrifice you've made. And I also want to thank all the participants, the people that said something. There was Paulo G at the beginning. At the end, there was Bill Then there was Morioki with his questions and comments. I heard from Deve. I heard a lot from, and of course, our moderator. We also noticed some people on the sidelines who were observing the discussion. Thank you. They also put on the chat some things that we had forgotten. I will not mention their names because maybe they want to remain anonymous, but we see you. Tunawaona. Thank you for making time this cold Saturday afternoon. I mean, night. You see my time is even distorted. That's what Zoom does. So guys, please remember to check out that podcast from Skeptic Haven that I just did. I shared the YouTube link on all our 3 groups. Please remember to check it out. It was a very eye-opening discussion that we had. And of course, share this one if you know of people who will find it interesting. Share it in your circles. Yeah, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, and be prepared. The word is ending tonight.
Yeah. Oh dear. At least I know you have a daughter. Dorcas will not be remembered. Good night, guys. Good night and good morning.
Good night.